Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Daniela Sosa, and I would like to present my research finding on the effects of social media use on mental health in young adults. In this presentation, I will delve the correlation between social media engagement and well-being health. My motivation for selecting this topic for my research was the digital platforms are so indispensable for all the people around the world in our century. But unfortunately, the big majority normalize the improperly use. And as a possible consequences is, in the most of the cases, they can identify they are passing through for this issue and they can improve it. Another of my main purpose to select this topic is because as a nursing student, my commitment is to help my colleagues to identify the possible disorders caused by the excessive use of social media. But has social media been the cause of the most mental health problems of the youth today? Based on the National Health Interview made in 2020, age 1 of 6 teenagers around the world are facing mental health problems, and that mental health problems are associated with social media. According to Generation Media book by Family Foundation in 2010, the young adults spend one average of 7.5 hours per day. This is a alarming statistics and can create a negative impact because if we calculate that amount of hours, we can have a result of 52.5 hours per week. That's the reason the empirical research suggests there is a relation between social media and anxiety, low self-esteem, and identity issues. My research method during my writing process, the first thing I made was selecting my relevant sources for my topic. But before I start to write, I took the decision to evaluate the sources were accurate in credible organizations like Control for Disease Center and World Health Organization are two examples. And after that, I read the studies and I made notes. But to be honest, when I was doing my annotated bibliography, I realized that my sources was too general to present this topic. That's the reason I reduced the half of my sources, my initial sources, because I wanted to focus in my 3 key points into support them and provide more evidence for my thesis statement. And the next step I made when I have the quality sources, I started the drafting, and during the semester I was doing changes based on the feedback and the suggestion the professor and experts gave to me. And for last, I made a proofreading. And in the proofreading, I checked my grammar, ensure my paper was clarity. The first effect of social media use is to increase anxiety. According to the Royal Society for People Health, the depression increased in 70% in the last 25 years in young adults. In fact, the Generation Book experts suggest more than the 80% exceed the 3 hours of social media at the day. And this book explains when one person exceeds that amount of hours, has a double risk to experiment mental health disorders. According to Olive Kalinski, the author of the study Social Network Impact on Young Adults, analyzed the relationship between anxiety and screen hours. In her study, they selected 8 adolescents in range age 13 and 18 years, with the main purpose to make one interview where the participants talking about their experiences using the social media. The result we obtained of these articles or this investigation was the first eight participants were divided in 2 parts. So the first 4 were diagnosed with light anxiety previously, but the rest 4 were in perfect mental health condition. But their difference was the first 4 were previously diagnosed with light anxiety. They use social media appropriately. That's the reason they had a moderate increase of anxiety. In contrast of the rest 4 were in perfect condition in mental health because they exceed the 3 hours in social media per day. So the result shows they developed higher levels of anxiety, and additionally other issues like low self-esteem and attention deficit. And another consequence of the exceed social use is the low self-esteem, because users are constantly exposed to our beauty, popularity, or success standards. And according the Impact Social Media in Self-Esteem investigation discovered the fake stereotype about the perfect bodies and the perfect lives are associated with low self-esteem. In this study, they selected 150 young adults between 18 and 25 years, and they evaluate them with the Rosenberg scale. But I know what are you thinking. What is Rosenberg scale? Rosenberg scale, or better known like RSE, was a self-esteem measure method created by Maurice Rosenberg in 1960. This questionnaire, created by the psychologist, consisted in a set of statements about personality and physical aspect of the participant. So, in that moment, the participant had to answer yes or no. It was according on that statements, yes or not. And at the end, the result of this study demonstrate how many hours we dedicate. Social media will determine our self-esteem. Because the statistics in RSE shows the young adults spend 1 to 3 hours. They have a score existing. Meanwhile, the people had in spending hour 3 to 5. They had a score with low anxiety in 12. But unfortunately, the people spend more than 5 hours. They have the lowest score with 8.23 hours. For last, the identity crisis is another effect of social media use. But what is identity crisis? Identity crisis, according to the psychologist Erik Erikson, is a long struggle that begins in the adolescence when the teenagers start having the classical question, who I am? And they start to have analysis themselves and exploring the expectations and answering the question, who are there? So In that story, in that article, we discover the identity crisis can be worse if we manipulate social media for cause of the algorithm. Because the algorithm shows a distorted picture of the reality with the fake stereotypes, with perfect lives, perfect body. So when the young adults realize that they can fulfill that high expectation, they start to high existential doubts, and they feel different, and they start to feel afraid for rejection. We now realize it to be different make us unique. Al-Sayed concluded that all of the young adults have a fear of not fitting social media trendings opinions. That's the reason that most of the young adults don't develop their own beliefs. Pasaksky, in his study Social Network Identity Creation, they examined 77 patients of different years, and they realized that the old people rate in identity crisis was lower in contrast of young people, because the old people hadn't exposed it in social media algorithm. The opposite view of this topic is social network is not bad. It's the bad use we give to this technology. According to the Harvard School of Public Health, if we use social media in a correct way, we can enjoy their benefits like communication. In any hour, we have the opportunity to know many people around the world with just one click. And of course, the self-expression through the art. In conclusion, social networks are a double-edged sword, because it is proven that addictive behavior leads to anxiety, low self-esteem, and identity crisis. But if we use the social media with responsibility, we can enjoy the benefits like as a powerful tool for our society. Thank you so much for your attention.